Welcome in, everybody. I am your host, Matt Novak. With me, as always, is my dude, Grant Hawker.
How we doing, folks?
On the third mic is Jameson DeFore.
Hey, yo.
And we are into week 6 of the NFL season. We got so much to hit today.
Technically, seventh coming up.
I mean,
Already.
we're through. Sorry,
Through
I
week
used
6,
the wrong
yes.
vernacular.
Yes.
We are through week 6. We got 6 weeks wrapped up. It was a week to remember for sure. There was a whole bunch of stuff that went down this weekend that is absolutely worth discussion on this show, and we're going to have a blast with it. Before we get to the NFL, though, we got to go to the most ridiculous thing that happened in our home state this weekend.
Let's go.
The Oregon Ducks took down the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm
not anymore.
educated.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
The.
We revoked the this weekend. We revoked their right.
Absolutely ridiculous game. 32-31. Ducks get the dub at home. I love this phrasing. Will Howard does his best Dak Prescott impersonation. Takes off with 6 seconds left, and the time runs out before Ryan Day can call a timeout. That was even a little bit suspect, but you saw Ryan Day pretty much was like, yeah, we did that.
The hands on the helmet look, sitting on the field while everyone's throwing their helmets off, excited. Oh,
it was
so
insanity.
Awesome. So awesome.
I was texting Grant the entire second half. I was on a plane coming back from Missouri.
So you want some
watching
crappy
this game.
Plane Wi-Fi?
No, it was pretty solid.
Okay.
I didn't miss anything. It was all good. Had HD. It was cool. But I was definitely a little delayed. I was having to tell Grant where it was at times, probably a minute and a half behind. But I'm just saying, like, at the end of that game, as a Duck fan, which I thought we were losing. Like I said, I think I texted Grant.
I think three times,
the touchdown.
Like 3 times, you're like, we're not. This is it. Like, all right, bummer.
Yeah, you just kind of got to let yourself go sometimes so you can move on with your life. And it just felt like it was inevitable.
But when you're wrong, it's sweeter.
Oh, it's so much better.
It's so much better when you think just when I thought that was out, they pulled me back in.
It's like finding a $20 bill in one of your like pants pockets that you didn't know was there.
Yeah, it was awesome.
This one won your team that you love, one of the most important games ever in its home stadium.
Yeah,
this had never happened to have the Ducks and someone else ranked in the top 3 at Autzen at the same time. Never happened in the history of the stadium. So that was pretty dope. The Ducks had been ranked multiple times in the top 3, but never had somebody visiting that was ranked that high. So that was super cool. So to get the win when you're in that scenario was incredible. Like you were saying, though, I definitely thought we were losing after the Ducks did not score that touchdown with 1:57 or 47 left. I'm forgetting now.
Yeah. Kick the field goal instead.
They had to go for the field goal and take that lead 32-31. I went, that's way too much time.
It was like, and it being like 1:47 with a timeout left, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, but legitimately, like, just some clock management stuff. Fumbled snap by Will Howard that caused
First play.
That really long 3rd and 19 eventually, and then they were able to get it, of course, because the Ducks were in a full-on bend, don't break. But it was just a lot of emotions. I want to give credit real quick to Dylan Gabriel, who played probably the best game of his life to date, 373 total yards, 3 touchdowns. He's coming in as a 1-year wonder and did his job.
Yep.
Legit got it done for us. That was huge. And Jordan James also the beast and just was getting yards when he needed from the backfield, had a touchdown as well. So it was a great game, but I got
7 lead changes.
7 lead changes. And this is no hate to Ryan Day, to Ohio State, who's clearly a really good football team. The Ducks could have lost this game 3, 4, 5 different ways. But I gotta say, Dan Lanning pulled off one of the best coaching maneuvers like ever.
This is definitely gonna get changed, right? You feel like coming in next year?
There's a rule coming for this.
Yeah,
100%. They're gonna figure this out. But if you missed it somehow, basically what happened is there's 10 seconds left on the clock. The Ohio State is out of
at that point.
field goal. It's out of range at that point for a field goal. They need to get some yards just to make it doable. They got a field goal kicker. Bro can knock it down for 50 yards. So like they had to get to the 35. I believe they were close to the 50 at that point.
Like 47, 48.
Yep. And so 10 seconds on the clock, and they go trips right, single receiver on the far side, and the Ducks see what's going to happen, look at the clock, and go, hey, 5 yards doesn't kill us here at all. They're not going to make that field goal. He's not going to make an almost 60-yarder. So we can take a penalty. And if you didn't see it, again, what penalty? Well, 12 men on the field. The Ducks, Dan Lanning sends out an extra defender, an extra corner to go into coverage.
To assure no play.
To assure no play, but it forces them to take the play. Now, the only move to make in that scenario is to potentially sacrifice it down if you count wrong and spike the ball. That could have given them a free 5 yards. If Howard would have seen what they were doing, been able to think through what had just happened, but Lanning did not send out the defender till the very last second.
Well, and they couldn't, and Ohio State had to hold onto their timeout for the next play to potentially, if something was still in bounds, to then kick the field goal. So like it was the perfect situation where they couldn't call the time.
Spiked it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If he hikes the ball and spikes it, then they get the 5 yards. And that's the only way he could have done it. But what quarterback, period? I can actually tell you one that's done it.
You have to be so certain if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, his name's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I think he's one of 2 quarterbacks to spike a football and get the 12th man on the field penalty in a scenario of less than 30 seconds when out of field goal range. I think he's one of 2, as what I was told. They were doing some Hembo stats on one of our favorite shows today, and that got brought up. So, but just a brilliant maneuver to send him out there. Ohio State runs 4 seconds off the clock. Now we're down to 6. On the next play, they left the middle open. Held the outsides because they knew they'd probably try and do a 4-second to the outside
out route,
and left the middle open to force use of the timeout or anything like that. And Howard takes off, sees green grass, and saw way too much of it, and finally goes and slides as time expires, and the game is over. No opportunity to kick the field goal. In my opinion, Ducks got lucky in that respect for sure, but a brilliant coaching maneuver by Dan Lanning, and that dude made himself worth all the dollars just in that one maneuver.
For sure.
I mean, he's done a lot of great things already for the Ducks, and I'm certainly a big fan. I love that he goes for it on 4th down. I love that he leaves the offense out there and a lot of situational stuff. I also love the coaching decision. If you watch the entire game, you'd notice the Ducks did not blitz one time in the first half. In the second half, they went after Will Howard as much as humanly possible, forced 2 fumbles. He finally started throwing a few balls errantly, but they literally, I think it was 75% of second half snaps through at least one extra rusher out there. So just love the coaching in that game for the Ducks. If you're a Duck fan, feel real good about who your coach is, feel real good about who your quarterback is, and feel really good that you won that game without your best defensive player on the field. Dortch being on the sideline. He's hopefully coming back this next week, or at least for the Illinois game at the end of the month. So awesome. Like literally there was a lot of great things that happened over the weekend, but as a fan, as a football fan, that was as good as it gets.
I mean, it was everything that it lived up to the hype and more. Like you had record numbers at Autzen Stadium. I've been like feasting off of all the pictures of like Ohio State fans at the stadium plugging their ears, stuff like that. Like this really was like I really believe it's like an awakening to the rest of the country as to what this program is. Like, yes, people know Ducks are good, but also they're in the Pac-12, like that. But also, I don't think if the Ducks left so many points on the board here.
Yeah.
And 14 points because they missed going for 2. They missed the PAT. They missed that twice, and then they missed 2-point conversion. And on one of the 4th down calls, they missed Tez Johnson wide open. He was wide open the flat. He throws to Ferguson instead of double coverage. So that's up by 14 points. Like if that happened, this game isn't close. And I think people even more believe that the Ducks like like that they're even better than even we already think they are now, and most people are awake to now because they won by 14 against Ohio State, which I believe they were, and I believe Ohio State was playing the best that they could. I'll be honest, I think they're playing the best they could because they wasn't a whole lot of opportunities for them to get points that they didn't. Like they got most of the points that they went to go get. Obviously, settling for some field goals here and there, but that's football. But like the Ducks left 14 points on the board. Then this game would have been a lot farther than it looked.
Well, and to add to the awesomeness, I mean, we can't forget to mention the absolute murder shot, the attempted murder that happened by a certain kicker from the Ducks. And speaking of great coaching decisions, again, that onside kick was brutal. Just hammer it off that guy's chest. That was incredible.
Yeah.
I love the meme that we all saw this last week. Everybody's thought about it. Everybody's thought about it.
Yeah.
But then somebody finally did it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it was great.
I still think Texas is best team, and I think they're the best by a good margin.
But when Ewers is playing quarterback.
Yeah. But I do think Ducks are the second best team in the country, and they've proved it this weekend. So, and you can take it to the bank.
It's not coasting from here out. But 2 of their 3 tough games remaining are home games. They do not have another opponent right now that's inside the top 20 in terms of ranking. And this was clearly the test. This was the game. And I'm not saying like Illinois is the layup, right? Like that's number 23 ranked team in the country. That's no layup. You still have to play Washington.
Still got to show up.
And freaking hate those guys.
They play you tough no matter what.
Yep,
doesn't matter.
It's a rivalry so it's going to be a thing. But anyway, we just wanted to hit that one. We know most of the time we're stuck in the NFL and we love the NFL, but that one for us was hey, we're talking about that. That was super cool.
Super jazzed.
Instant classic as a fan. Things that happened while we were not able to do our show this last week. Robert Saleh got fired.
Mm-hmm.
He went bye-bye.
He did.
Escorted off the premises, as we learned. Did not get to say goodbye to the team.
That's the first time this ever happened to a coach, by the way. Like, what did they think? Did they think Saleh was going to, like, blow up the place, light it on fire? Is Woody Johnson that fragile and insecure? It seems like it. Seems like
probably.
It. But, like, are you for real? Like, you're intimidated by this guy, so you're gonna escort him off the field so you can feel big, tough, and strong? Like, that's ridiculous. The Jets are an embarrassment. That's my biggest takeaway out of this. And we have more Jets news to talk about, but classic Jets.
Bad.
Jets stay the Jets.
It was absolutely horrible what they did to him. There's clearly no reason for it. Woody also didn't consult the GM. Didn't talk to anybody. He just said, "You're done." And then
walked into his office.
Came in, walked into his office, had security escort him out. I can imagine Saleh had some words for that.
So Jeff no longer employed. Say whatever you want.
Jeff Ulbrich, now the interim coach. He's been linebackers coach. He was in San Francisco prior to coming. Also part of that Shanahan tree. Came over with Saleh to be his defensive coordinator. Then gets promoted into the position for now. Already has a game under his belt since that's happened. The first thing he did, though, when he came in was fired Nate Hackett from calling plays.
Which should have been the first thing that happened instead of Saleh going.
I totally agree with that. I think you go after the OC before you go after the head coach in that scenario. But, yeah. And honestly, I mean, the Jets did put up 20 points. Should have put up 26. I don't know what Big Z was doing this last week. And I know there was some wind there. But, like, he missed from 24 yards. And he missed a PAT. Oh, so he should have put up 27. My bad.
He left all the juice with the Rams.
Yeah, I guess.
Oops. Sorry.
That was ugly as could be. They lost that game, but honestly, Rodgers did a pretty good job putting them in position.
Hail Mary
looked like he nearly died.
Fourth Hail Mary
game. The Hail Mary was legit. That was pretty cool. Definitely was. Also, we don't have it in the notes here, but I'm just going to mention it, and we mention this every now and then when we see some real suspect things go on. What the crap with that officiating?
22 penalties. I didn't.
That was so terrible.
22.
It was hard to watch. Truly.
Kinlaw got a personal foul for apparently insulting a ref's mother. That's the only thing I could imagine that it was. Is walking away from a ref, not looking at him. Probably makes a comment about the officiating. I'm guessing. We have no idea.
That doesn't
gets
happen.
a 15-yarder, for that. After the play was over and he was walking to his sideline, and I'm like,
there's that
seriously?
really bad roughing the passer in there too.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
just like, huh?
Dude, Aaron Rodgers called bull crap on penalties that were called on the Bills. 2 of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how bad the officiating was.
Did they not get like calls from like New York to be like, "Hey guys, you're at 15 penalties and it's the third quarter. Can you chill?" Like it was. I just hate it. I don't care. Like we talk about it often. Reffing is always a topic of discussion, but 22 is absurd.
Bad look on Monday night. That crew, by the way, leads all crews currently in penalties called and yardage on said penalties. They've also called most personal fouls in the league. Saw all that stuff come up today. So, yeah, that was kind of lame. But then the Jets made news one more time because as soon as that game was over last night and Garrett Wilson again appeared to die for a moment on the field, that was a pretty hard hit over the middle. The game's over. And Woody goes, you know what? Devonta Adams sounds real good. Let's go do that. And so they throw out a third rounder. Well, actually, it happened right after the game.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Maybe I was asleep. Rodgers told the story on his typical weekly interview today. In which Devonta Adams actually showed up in the middle of that interview. Yeah. But he told the story and said he got the call from Devonta at like 12:30 Monday night. And local time, the game would have ended, I'm assuming, around 11:30. So within an hour of the game, Devonta was catching a private red eye to get to New York, take his physical. They already had an agreement in place. Now it says that it can go from a third rounder in this exchange to a second, but he'd have to make the All Pro. Not going to happen with the limited amount of games, most likely. Yeah. Or they have to go to the AFC Championship game and or Super Bowl for that to become a second teamer. I think we can all raise our hand and our left hand, put the right one on a Bible.
Not happening.
I do solemnly swear that will not happen.
Yeah.
I think we're good there. But what's your guys' take? I got my feelings about what this means for the Jets. Do you at least they're what 2-4 right now? Mm-hmm. Should be 3-3 in my opinion. Couple kicks and we're having a different conversation. But do you think this actually makes him a contender?
No,
because
this is not going to be fixed by one guy. First of all, second of all, if maybe this happened a week ago and Saleh wasn't fired, maybe because Saleh was clearly not the issue. Because the defense was playing well, he was getting his side of the ball playing well. It was clearly the offense. So if two things happen, Hackett's canned, and then they trade for Devonta Adams, I think probably win 9 games, 10 games, and be getting the playoffs. Maybe. Because he already has that trust and that kind of stuff. But only once has a team ever made the playoffs when they fired their coach in the middle of the season. One time. So Jets, I'm sorry, you guys deserve better, but the Jets will be the Jets. It doesn't matter if you have Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't matter. He's going to retire at the end of this season. You'll be back to square one. No. Jets, there's so many more issues. This offensive line is terrible. You don't trade for O linemen. Like that's not a thing that happens in the middle of the season. Like that doesn't happen. So no, it's wide receivers. It's weapons that get traded. Defensive linemen. That's about it. So, yep. It didn't fix your biggest issue.
Feeling?
No, I think they're cooked, but I also don't know if they deserve better or not because I feel like a lot of what happens with the Jets as well is like a systemic failure.
Yeah.
Again,
I think the fans deserve better, not the Jets organization. The fans deserve better.
Maybe
a lot of those fans are Yankee fans. Forget them.
Yeah, it's New York. It's New York sports. But yeah, I can understand the firing of Saleh. Granted his quarterback situation and the teams that he said to put on the field for the past several years. Not really his fault. I don't blame him for that. But I also think a big part of that is like how you can manage that team. And unfortunately for them, that's what happens when you bring Aaron Rodgers in. You are now at his will. That's how you get Nat Hackett. That's how you get coaches being fired when I don't think we really looked too much into this when it happened, but they had that weird altercation in that one game where one went for a hug and he like kind of shoved them away. And it's like, okay, well, that's probably nothing. But now you look back at those things a little differently because the guy got fired when they were like 2-3 at the time. And it's like, obviously, I don't think he was the best coach, but like Grant said, defense is kind of doing their thing. And it's not necessarily his direct actions that are tanking this season. Not that they were tanking, they were still 2-3, but they should have been much better. And so it's a mess over there, and I totally agree. Like, it's not going to get any better. This doesn't move the needle. This maybe makes them more enjoyable to watch because I'm sure we'll have plenty more Jets games on prime time because they want to basically give Aaron Rodgers a send off. I think it's probably likely that he doesn't play too many more football games anymore. Sure, it's going to be fun. I think we all kind of saw this a mile away when Devontae was like, "Oh, my hamstring is it's really hurting. I think I have to sit out these games here because my team sucks and I want to get out of here." And it's like, okay, well, he's not going to go to New Orleans, and Derek Carr ends up getting hurt anyways. It was the Jets all along. I was really hoping for something different because I think he deserves to play meaningful football. But here we are. He's in New York.
But when he wants his choices to go as the Saints and the Jets, he's clearly unserious about playing meaningful football himself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you want to say, hey, I got my bag, I just kind of want to play football with my friends, sure. But I also, guess what? The Jets aren't going to be great. I don't want to hear about how things are frustrating because you're not winning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think, I was going to say one thing on the who deserves better. Mike Greenberg deserves better. Okay. Like, sure. That guy, he's a real Jets fan. And Greeny, of course.
Isn't Rich Eisen also?
He is. I also like Rich Eisen, but I'll be honest. In the world of fanatics, I think Greenberg takes the cake. I'm not saying Rich Eisen doesn't love the Jets to death and hasn't his whole life, but I think Greeny's got him on spirited love for your team, whatever.
Unwavering.
Anyway, that's what made me chuckle a minute ago off mic. I was just thinking, I was like, Mike Greenberg deserves better. But no, it's funny. Like, this continues to be headlines. This is the third time that the Jets have made the top of our show in the first 20 minutes. Like, already this season, we buried them after that 10-9 loss against the Broncos when they just couldn't move the ball. And we've reiterated that we were right about that. And I agree. I don't think this is going to be meaningful. It has not been at all what fans thought they were getting, for sure. And this isn't going to change. I think Grant pointed out correctly, the O-line's a huge issue. They're going to have some depth on the defensive line issues here pretty fast. And I don't think you get better doing all this crap in the middle of the season with all those distractions. Bad things just tend to happen.
And the biggest market in sports also on top of that. Like, you're just inviting chaos.
Yeah, and I mean, this is like the same types of scenarios as what happens when a team changes quarterbacks in the middle of the season, goes to their rookie, to let him get out experience, like what's happening in New England right now or what's happening in Vegas. Those teams are going to suck too. There's just bad football teams doing bad football things.
Well, what's so ridiculous about just the firing of Saleh when it happened? Again, what I texted when it happened was, not surprised that it happened. I'm surprised it happened this early. If the Jets won on Monday, they'd be first place in the division. What? Yeah. Why? Like, and I'm convinced they probably could have won that game if Saleh was their coach, maybe, and there wasn't all this chaos that happened the week prior. And they could be first in the division.
Yeah.
Woody Johnson, you're a moron.
And I think you just handed the keys over to the Bills, who made a fantastic move today.
Counterpoint.
Speaking of, They traded for Amari Cooper, give up a 3rd and 7th, get Amari and a 6th. I think that's a fleecing, personally.
We'll take that any day of the week if you're a Bills fan.
Absolutely. And the Bills have a very young receiving core. I think everybody on the top 3 is second year or a rookie. So Keon Coleman's got a touchdown this last week. Guys are starting to make plays, but they've had a ton of drops. I think they're in the bottom 3 in drops this season, and they just need that veteran presence there and some depth. This made way too much sense.
And you get a guy who's just steady. Like, Amari Cooper is just the definition of steady, not drama. Josh Allen's not going to have to deal with, I have to get this guy the ball. Like, Amari Cooper doesn't talk. Like, he just goes and plays ball. And that's going to be great for this team. And that's exactly, they didn't need to go get a Devontae Adams. Like, would they be better if they got Devontae Adams? Maybe, because I think Devontae Adams is a better player than Amari Cooper. Yeah. But they also didn't need to go get Devontae Adams. They could get someone to settle for something like this. And if you're Amari Cooper, you're feeling great today.
I think you're very re-energized given the situation that you're coming from.
Oh my God.
To where you're currently at now.
Yeah. Speaking of dumpster fires, we'll get to that in a minute. No, I love this move for them. I think it makes perfect sense. Remember, this is a dude that had a 200-yard game last year with Flacco. He is more than capable in the stretch of games that he's going to play with this team. By the way, Bills also have a late bye. So Amari's going to play a lot of meaningful football before he gets a week off. He has not been playing any meaningful football in Cleveland for dang sure. So he's going to get like that, I think 6 games or so, 6-7 games before he's got a week off and get that connection going with Josh Allen. I love that. And truthfully, I mean, if we're really, what we at? We're 11 games here, bro. I mean, he's going to get 100 targets in those 11 games.
I mean, Josh Allen fed Stephon Diggs. Yep. Like, he just threw it to him every chance he could.
And and don't get me wrong, like, I think it's not just out of need. It's also going to make the other guys better. You're going to pull off that. There's no double coverage coming to rookies. The coverages that defense are able to employ on these young guys. Remember, Dalton Kincaid, also a second-year tight end. They're going to have to go to a more complicated scheme. You're going to have to take Amari Cooper into account on every single play. He's still that kind of player, for sure. And, by the way, can take the top off the defense if he just wants to run a go. So, brilliant move by the Bills after Devonta goes into New York. This was an insurance policy move to make sure you win the division, and a dang good one. The Bills, played a mediocre team and got a win. And we said, like, hey, we noted in our last show that the Bills really only had, while they had the wins they did, they were not beating anybody that was good.
Yeah.
They came out of the gate and beat 3 teams that weren't good and beat down on Miami.
They got slaughtered by the Ravens.
That was the Tua game, was when they beat down on them. So, yeah, they got slaughtered by the Ravens. So, Bills needed to win that game, I think, but they really did elevate themselves into a position with this trade where they can win that division. I mentioned that Cooper came from a bad situation. The Browns lost this week 20-16 to the Eagles. And what is just funny things to watch in football. Nick Sirianni, is this just like a Philly thing? Or is he that stupid?
Dan Lanning is who Nick Sirianni thinks he is. That's my take. Because Dan Lanning's
like the nice guy version of this.
Well, Dan Lanning, I've seen, but
Dan Lanning
he has
chirps.
an attitude.
Yeah, he chirps a little bit.
But he also will scheme up something and he'll go in and win football games. And meanwhile, this is one of the most pitiful wins I've seen of a team this season. Like, you're barely beating the Browns
coming out of a bye
week.
Yeah. And
I think the line for this game was like 8.5, and they beat them by 4.
Barkley only ran for 47 yards this week.
Yeah,
but the Browns are the number 1 defense against the run. Gotta say that. The Browns are the number 1 defense against the run.
I'm going to say this. Nick Sirianni is clearly losing touch with reality when you shave your head in any movie and anything that you've seen, when you buzz your hair,
when you go full Britney Spears,
it means that you are losing touch with reality.
He is the taxi driver.
Literally. That's what's going on right now. And then chirping and yapping at the fans, even though they won, obviously because they weren't happy with their performance, even though they won because it's Philly. Right. But then has to come out there and like apologize about it, like all this stuff.
Brought his kids to the podium afterwards.
Yeah,
so
dude.
So he could duck the smoke. Yeah.
Dude, like, yeah, he's probably, not probably. Bye-bye, Nick Sirianni. Like, they're just waiting until the end of the season because I don't think the Eagles aren't a team that's going to dump them halfway through. Like, they're at least going to write it out. But, like, this definitely was the final year to experiment. And
if I were them, I would just get Vrabel in there ASAP. If I was them.
That's what everybody's saying is like, am I being too loud? Oh, sweet. All right. Apparently I'm screaming into the microphone right now. But no, this is the Vrabel, or the race for Vrabel and Belichick.
It's the one place you want to go. Like, good ownership, talented roster.
Right.
That's where you'd want to go.
Yeah. I think Vrabel in Philly makes a ton of sense. That dude can take it.
Yep. And like he's a man's man.
I mean, also Belichick in a hilarious way does make sense. Could you imagine those fans with that guy if they're just good and not great? And he just look them dead in the eye and be like, I don't care. I don't care.
On to the next week.
Mm-hmm.
We lost the game. Tough loss. We're gonna pick up, learn from it, move forward. We're
on to Dallas
Patriots on Sunday.
Yeah, on to Dallas or whatever. Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah,
I mean, I just think that would be hilarious. But yeah, his gesturing and losing his mind, taking off his headset, like, dude, he was coaching still. Like, the game was still going, and he takes off his headset and goes up and starts just cussing at fans in the stands. Like, you're right. He's turned into Britney Spears, the taxi driver. This is hilarious, but gosh, that dude's just screaming himself out of a job right now.
Yeah. And coaching himself out of one.
Yeah.
Yeah. More importantly,
winning's the hardest thing to do in the NFL, guys. He's not wrong, but that was a clown press conference. Yeah. And some other good things. Let's get to some things that we like talking about. I'll just say, we've noticed rookie quarterback play from one fairly good individual had been real nice. And Caleb Williams finally showed up though this week. Jaden Daniels been playing great, but Caleb Williams had himself a game. Throws 4 touchdown passes this weekend. Completes almost 80%. His last 2 starts now, his passer rating's been up over 124. Both of those games. Mm-hmm. I saw a few of those throws. The one to Keenan Allen over the middle on the high finish, that was a gorgeous throw. I got to give him that one. I'm not sold. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm not a lover of the pick. I never was. I don't think Caleb Williams is all that. I think that he's Kyler Murray, just with a few inches on him. Like as a passer.
But that's still better than anything the Bears have ever had.
It's still better than.
Granted, that ceiling's not high.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's not because they haven't had a quarterback.
Isn't Jay Cutler like their best quarterback?
Yeah, but they haven't had a quarterback ever throw 30 touchdowns in the franchise history.
That's fair.
So
that's fair. I mean, he's still a serviceable quarterback. I just don't think he's going to be it. I don't see that it.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 wide receivers on that team, though, one clearly who, if the dude would just stay on the field the entire season, could be a Hall of Famer. Like, Keenan Allen, like, legitimately, if he would have just stayed on the field. Too many injuries to make that happen. But he's got that kind of talent. So, he's got a lot of guys to throw the ball to. But good for him. Had a nice week. And in the thing that I couldn't wait to talk about, and I texted you guys about immediately because I was laughing my head off at home. The Cowboys got freaking embarrassed, like in the best way.
We love it.
Like, is there? This is the definition of a perfect storm, because it was at home.
Yes,
and it was Jerry Jones' birthday. Oh, if I'm not mistaken.
82nd. Happy 82nd birthday. Yes.
And Also, since it was at home, it was their largest loss they've ever had at home, I think, in the history of them. And also, the Lions did it. Who we love. We're a fan of the Lions on this show.
Yes.
Like we love the Lions. We love the story of Jared Goff. We love Dan Campbell. Their players are fun. Great team. They've built their team the right way, and they're what the Cowboys wish they were. What Jerry Jones wished the Cowboys were.
The icing on the cake was hearing Jared Goff in Cowboys Stadium.
Yeah,
that's just objectively hilarious.
So that was freaking awesome. It like didn't hit me right away. I was listening and not watching after one of the touchdown passes. This was before it became insane. Like, so still the first half. And then I start hearing, and I'm like, I thought they were in, and I like look down at the screen and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening in Dallas.
There's a big star on that field right now.
Oh, dude, I was losing my mind. I was so happy. As we've stated on the program before, as a 49er fan, I absolutely hate the Seahawks. But there is one game in which I root for the Seahawks, and that is if they're ever playing the Cowboys. The Cowboys, for me, are the Yankees of the NFL. The Cowboys.
They're the same fan, also.
They're also the same fan.
The Yankees, Cowboys, and Lakers. Yep,
yeah.
It's the same fan. Yep. We feel bad for all Laker and Yankee fans this week. Well, we don't feel bad, but they feel bad because of that.
And those guys also love SEC football. But you know, this is what it is.
Roll Tide, roll.
Alabama.
Roll Tide, roll. Go Dogs. No, it was absolutely hilarious. I mean, we could go through the stats in this game, but I think 47-9 truly sells it.
When you have linemen lining up as wide receivers and you run a hook and ladder to Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell. Oh, so good.
Dude, they're playing with their food. Playing with their food is what the Lions did.
And the best part was it was a Rams bye week, so I could just like focus all of my energy on the pure unadulterated hate that I have for the Cowboys and watch them get absolutely turned to dust on television. It's fantastic.
And like, despite what you might think, like, at least for me, I'm a big Jerry Jones fan. I love what he's doing with the Cowboys. Like, you know, Jerry Jones, you keep doing what you're doing. Because it's working out great for me. So
Mike McCarthy's going to put it together eventually, I promise.
Yeah. Just stick with him. Just sign him to another extension, like a 4-year extension. Keep doing what you're doing. If you want to actually just up Dak Prescott to $70 million and CD Lamb to $45 million, I just do it, dude. You're so good at what you do. Keep doing it. Big fan.
Yeah. By the way, Tony Pollard, the running back they gave up on this last year, I believe had his third game of over 100 yards, and I think he has what did I hear? It was like 4 times the amount of yards of any one single rusher in Dallas. 4 times.
I wouldn't have guessed it.
Yeah,
never would have seen that coming.
I mean,
especially now when they re-signed Zeke. I mean, I thought he was just going to be putting up some numbers.
Bro, dude, it's Zeke Elliott, man. What are you talking about?
How'd you not feel good about that? How could we have seen this coming?
Yeah, he started wearing his college number again. He has to be good.
Yeah,
he has to be.
Speaking of Ohio State,
dude, no, this game was the game that giveth. I mean, fantastic.
Unfortunately for Lions fans, it did also taketh.
Yes, man. Yeah, I was gonna say we gotta mention it.
Yeah,
you can describe it. Me and Grant will literally throw up if he has.
I already saw it when you guys had texted me not to see it. I'd already seen it.
You mean when his leg wrapped around the other guy's leg like a, I don't know, like a pool noodle?
Yeah. Yep. Not so
bad.
That was I don't know if you guys, a lot of people would have seen it, but I know a lot of people also don't go seeking out sports injuries, but like Anderson Silva when he leg kicks that guy and his leg just goes wink and like wraps around, just like those are so tough to watch. And it's also really tough because I like Aiden Hutchinson and he was cooking this year.
The college kid goes shoot the 3.
Oh, Kevin Ware.
Oh god. Oh,
Gordon Hayward.
Gordon Hayward was rough.
That's bad. Yeah.
It's Paul George. Oh. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, like there is like a precedent of he's probably going to be okay. Like
leg breaks a lot of times, honestly, are much easier to come back from than
it's going to be a long road, but he'll be fine. But it's tough.
He'll be week 1 next year.
Yeah.
And so that's where I wanted to go with that though. Is so what's next? I think clearly they have to pick somebody up, and there is no better situation than Hassan Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just has to happen.
Yep.
I mean, it makes sense for everybody. Hassan Reddick does not want to play for the Jets.
Who would?
I don't know if Devonta Adams coming would change it to. I mean, apparently Devonta Adams did. But I don't know if that changes tune in any way, shape, or form. Changes dynamic. Doesn't sound like it. But Hassan Reddick going there would make a ton of sense.
If there's one coach that could get him to actually play, it might be Dan Campbell, you know?
Well, and if it's a restructure where they just front load some money, they could afford him if they want to. He's got to take off the 4th year. Like he's trying to get a 4-year deal.
That's dude, this team can win a Super Bowl. So like
they could
just, do what the Rams did, like pay $1.10, to get your guy to help you get to the Super Bowl. Like that's the mode they're in. Pay a little extra to get it done. I also think someone like not even as close to the production of even Reddick or Hutchinson, but someone like Jadeveon Clowney. The Panthers are bad. If they want to try and get something, he had 9.5 sacks. He had 9.5 sacks last year. Obviously not being used as much for the Panthers, but the Panthers are terrible. They're going to look to dump whoever they can to get picks. That's a little something. So
yeah, and he's on a 1 year.
Yeah.
He's on a 1 and then an option year. But
you're just looking to get some production back. Just some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're not going to get all of it.
Miami's got depth pieces they'd be willing to unload. Yeah, I mean, you think about some of those teams that are at the bottom of the barrel right now. I'm sure Jacksonville's got an option for you. Somebody's got an option for you.
Trayvon Walker. Go get the number 1 pick from Aiden's number 2.
Rebuild his stock.
Man.
Get the number 1 and 2 pick from that draft. Whatever year that is, 2021.
Sure. Wow, that'd be a forfeiture and
a Jaguars is probably looking to do a whole lot of selling, so
yeah, it's fair. Some teams just have to start making moves if they want to continue to remain competitive. I would not be surprised if we see the Vikings do some stuff here, even though they've been playing well. Obviously, went into their bye week this last week. I think they're going to be looking for a few key individuals to set themselves up for a shot at the playoffs. The NFC North is the toughest division in freaking football, and it's not even close.
Eat each other alive.
Eventually, they're going to probably keep it. The Vikings are going to start losing a few games here and there. They're not that good because they don't have the depth to be that good. But if they go start getting some pieces after a few of those losses, that makes sense. There's going to start to be some trades coming up. I think this is actually going to be a trade heavy year already. I mean, 2 major wide receivers go today.
And this in week 6 that's really early.
Really unheard of. I mean, we still got 6-7 weeks. Isn't it week 12? 13?
So I don't remember. I think it changed because of the extra games.
I can't remember anymore.
Yeah, it's in the end of November around Thanksgiving is the trade deadline. So we got a long time before then.
Seahawks made a trade also. Like teams are moving. So
yeah. So I mean, I'll be really interested to see what happens. But Lions need to go get a guy for sure. And we'll throw up the thoughts and prayers. That was brutal, and that dude's playing awesome too, so that sucks for them. But thank you for what you guys did on Sunday, because that made my entire afternoon.
Did the Lord's work.
Appreciate that. You did all actual football fans, a service this weekend. Grant has a few words to say. I'm gonna hand over the lead portion.
Well,
give it to you.
First, I want to say that, Matt, I mean, I wish I could have the week you had with your sports, just because you got a Cowboys loss, you got a Ducks win, and you got a Seahawks loss handed by your team. I don't know if there's a better week for you that you could have had.
If the Yankees would have fallen out of the playoffs, that would have been the trifecta.
Yes. Yeah. But again, you can't have them all the time. But so the Niners dominated the Seahawks. As I was typing this, I was getting mad and figured I need to actually have a little rant here. So I have a whole separate document But the Niners went back to their impressive form after losing to the Cardinals the week before. Brock Purdy looked great, threw 3 touchdowns, 2 of which to George Kittle. The defense stepped up for the Niners. It's kind of been middle of the road so far, and they kept limiting Seattle early. And again, I watched highlights. I was busy. I was working that weekend, but Geno Smith had his worst game as a Seahawk, threw 2 picks. His day only looked marginally better because he threw a touchdown in garbage time to Tyler Lockett. Again, even makes the score look somewhat better than it actually was because this game wasn't really that close. There's maybe a moment in the game where there was some hope, but then Geno threw a pick to intended for DK. But before I get into my real stuff, I have 2 caveats. This team has a brand new coaching staff. And I recognize this is about to rant. This team has a brand new coaching staff, completely overhauled. This is a total rebuild. Even moving on from Russ wasn't really a rebuild. We still had our key players. We still had Pete Carroll. We still had the same, stories, ideologies, all that kind of stuff. And so a team that's completely brand new, they're going to have a lot of growing pains. It's just going to happen. You're building the foundation of what's to come. Like a coach doesn't jump in year 1 and then go to the Super Bowl, maybe even make the playoffs. It doesn't happen all the time. And the other thing I recognize is that they played 3 games in 3 weeks and then played 3 games in 11 days, which is ridiculous, first of all. I recognize that. And I think the NFL really, if they want to say that they're all about player safety, then they need to look at the way they're scheduling this, where they're having 3 games in 11 days, because we've lost those games and we've had to deal with a lot of injuries, and I recognize that. So I recognize some of the caveats. But this team over the last year and a half has been frustrating to watch. So dang frustrating. Every single time they've needed to rise to the occasion, they have failed. I can think of one game in the last year and a half where they've actually risen to the occasion, and it was the Drew Lock Monday Night Football game against the Eagles. And then they squandered that by losing to the Steelers, led by Mason freaking Rudolph. They lost them a playoff spot last year. They could not stop the run. They couldn't stop Mason Rudolph. And then 2 weeks ago, they lose to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is like a Pro Bowl quarterback. What the crud? And the most frustrating part about this is that they have the pieces. They have it. They have 3 top-tier pass catchers. They have a great running back in Ken Walker. When he's actually gets fed the ball, he's a top 5 running back in the league. They have a great left tackle in Charles Cross. They have dogs at the D-line, Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, Jaron Reed, Draymond Jones. They've got 2 elite corners in Witherspoon and Woolen. And yet they've got Julian Love, Pro Bowl safety. And yet every time they need to rise to the occasion, they don't. This team is not disciplined. They don't get stuff done. Constantly, they're penalizing themselves. Their offensive line, they refuse to address it. We have Stone Forsythe, who leads the league in pressures at 36 pressures. The second guy has 19. I get that he's the 3rd string tackle, but Anthony Bradford's a joke. Laken Tomlinson, I'm convinced, is still play on the 49ers payroll. He's terrible. He's abysmal. Oh my Lord. Anthony Bradford looks lost in the field. I saw it on Twitter. There's so many moments where he's literally looking the opposite direction of the field of where the ball is, and there's no one near him. Every single game is difficult for them. If you're a Seahawks fan, every single game is. These 3 games that they won against a rookie quarterback and 2 backup quarterbacks was difficult. They'll score 17 in the first quarter and then go scoreless until 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter against the Dolphins. They can't get stuff done. There's no consistency. They refuse to use their guys. Kenneth Walker had 5 rushing attempts against the Giants. 5 rushing attempts. What? What the crud are you doing? He's one of the best running backs out there. You refuse to manufacture touches for your guys. You look at the Lions, what they do, they manufacture this stuff. They scheme their guys open. They don't just trust them on their talent. You have to actually create plays that get your guys open. DK Metcalf is averaging 5 catches a game. He should have 10. You look at Matt Stafford. He feeds his guys. He throws them the ball. He'll throw it at them 15, 16, 17 times and end up with 100 yards and a touchdown. And yet we struggle to get that done. It's so frustrating. There's a lack of discipline. The last 3 weeks, they've been we just haven't been disciplined in our processes. Yeah, no, duh. It's been 3 weeks and you've said the same thing, that you're not disciplined in your processes. Mike McDonald, you need to have tryouts again for your guys. Everybody should be, I don't care if you're making $500 million or $500, your spot's available, because it's ridiculous what they're doing. It's dumb. It's so bizarre what's going on with this team. And against the Niners, they have no stinking pride, man. They've lost 7 times in a row to them. 7 times, including the playoffs, in a row. And everything that's out of touch. Oh, Grant, you're not in the locker room. They don't care. I've watched this team every single week for 12 years. The Seahawks used to own this division. They used to own the Niners. And now the Niners can just walk in and steamroll the Seahawks. They don't care. Every single time, it's easy for the Niners to walk. I know Kyle Shanahan's great play caller, great weapons. I understand that. But, like, are you kidding me? These guys are wide open. Like, it's easy for Brock Purdy. It's easy for George Kittle. It's easy. And every single one of these losses to the Niners has been in double digits. There's no pride. There's no accountability. I get some of this is Pete, because Pete had this weird thing at the end of the year, the end of his time, where he was like, I'm going to invest in players farthest and farthest away from the ball. I'm going to trade for safeties. I'm going to pay them all this money. The least important position on a freaking football field is a safety, in my opinion. It's the farthest away from the ball when the ball is snapped. I'm frustrated. I hate it. But also, am I going to pick them this week against the Falcons? Probably. Because I can't. It's like a toxic boyfriend. You can't get rid of them. Rant over.
That was cinema.
Thank you.
I agree with so much of what you said.
Yeah. I don't think you said one wrong thing, actually.
I didn't.
I don't feel like you did.
And if you're a Seahawks fan, you should be upset at this team. And I understand that them starting out 3-0 did kind of mess with expectations, where now everyone's like, oh, well, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the division because the Niners aren't winning. Blah, 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 blah. I understand that's messed with expectations a little bit, starting out 3-0. No one expected that. But at the same time, like, we should be able to criticize the team when they're not playing well instead of just writing it off on injuries. Every team is injured. I get that. But when it's coaching, when it's discipline, when they're creating dumb penalties and have abysmal interior O-line play aside from our center, when our guards are literally looking the opposite direction when the ball is snapped and letting guys just run at Geno and kill him every play, when they're the worst ranked O-line and pass win rate, like, yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that definitely showed itself. I mean, you get into that fourth quarter on Thursday night, and I understand it's Nick Bosa. Okay, don't get me wrong. Like, I get
and it's Nick Bosa against a third stringer. I get that.
Yeah.
Stone Forsythe is not a starter. But at the same time, like, there's a literal play where Stone Forsythe lets, like, Bosa gets off the edge untouched in Geno's face. It's like, oh. Mm-hmm. After the and like Geno has to throw it away. Waste of a play right there. They can't get ahead. They're always behind. Their special teams is terrible. It's ranked worse than DVOA. Their starting field position is like 30th or 31st. Like, of course they're not going to be successful. Of course they're not going to win these games. Yeah.
And the huge part in this, as obviously the third party in this situation, is when you look at the NFC West. Sure, the Rams only have one win. They had an early bye this year, but what really matters is the loss column, because a lot of times it's not necessarily how many wins you have at a certain point in the season. It's also how many losses you have, because those are what are going to disqualify you from certain things. And, you know, after not being here last week and now having this week happen where the Cardinals surprised the Niners beat the Seahawks. Now we're looking at a situation where we still might not really know. I mean, we probably know it's going to be the Niners, but we kind of still don't really know, because everybody has 3 losses. You guys both have 3 losses. The Cardinals and the Rams both have 4 losses.
Yeah.
So what looked like, like people are running away with this thing. The Seahawks are 3-0. The Rams can't buy a win. What's going on with the Niners? Like, what, you know, are the Cardinals actually going to be kind of sneaky good? Now everybody is separated by 1 loss.
Yeah.
So,
well, like, that was really frustrating. Like, I'm not that mad that the Seahawks lost to the Lions and 49ers. They're better teams. Just straight up, they're better teams. They've got more depth. They got better players. I'm more upset that they lost to the Giants, because if they lost to the Niners, they would still be in first place and still have a game up. That game was so crucial, because now and obviously the Niners still are probably going to win the division, like, even if that happened. But like, I still go like, dude, like that was such a crucial game. Looking at your loss to the Lions, now that was what we considered a good loss. That's not really a thing, but you felt good going into that. The Giants were down Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary, their starting running back and starting wide receiver, and lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was absolutely a gimme for them. And like they lose that, and that's why we're in this spot where we're not 4-2, we're 3-3. And again, it just shows that like, is this team for real? I still don't know. Couldn't they turn it around? Absolutely. Could I see them going and beating the Falcons on Sunday? Absolutely. I think no one's ever going to think that, yeah, the Falcons are going to dominate and just walk away with it. Now, could they? Yeah, it's football. But like, I still think the Seahawks can go and win and then be 4-3, this time next week. But like, still, it's just like those moments where you need to show up has continually been an issue for this team, far beyond like this year, far beyond last year. But the difference was you had Russell Wilson, who has, I think, still he's one of the top comeback victory, has like the most comeback victories. Like he was clutch, like when he was in Seattle, he was clutch and delivered it. And Geno led the league in fourth quarter comebacks last year, but still at the same time, like this team could be slow to start, and then Russell Wilson would bail him out. And that's just an exhausting way to watch football. And it's annoying. There's never a game where the Seahawks have, in my like years of watching this team, where I've been like, this game's over by halftime. No, because they always let a team back into it, and then Russ has to go be Superman. That was always how it was. And he did it, but now that he's not there, you just see like how ineffective this was, and that's why they couldn't win more Super Bowls. That's why they couldn't get past teams in the playoffs, because that was their bread and butter. That's because Pete Carroll was so stubborn in the way that he called games. And it seems like, and now Ryan Grubb is, running the ball 5 times in a game.
Well, I think the thing to think about when it comes to where the NFC West is at as a whole, and Jameson's pointing that out from a different perspective. This, I mean, we've said all we said here, but honestly, the leader of the division could be 3-4 this coming Sunday. Niners got to play the Chiefs, and is that game against the Falcons at home, or is it away?
It's in Atlanta. Seahawks travel well though.
Yeah,
they're one of the best teams at 10 a.m. windows, but
yeah, just looking at that, I mean, like this is going to be really tough, and it's because the division's beating up on itself.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is doing that. Like, yes, Seahawks shouldn't have lost that game to the Giants. I completely agree. But Niners shouldn't have lost to either the
Cardinals or Rams,
or the Rams.
Gave those games away. In particularly the Rams game, I think was a bigger giveaway. I think the Niners just did not play well against the Cardinals, but Niners were beating the Rams, and then in a 4-play span surrendered the game. This division's just beat the crap out of itself so far, and this is just the time. So I think the Niners at the end of their schedule, I was looking at this the other day, like they got 4 out of their last 5. They'll probably win. I do think that's the point in which they actually pull away, is going to be in that real home stretch. We're not going to play each other every single week. So we're going to have the opportunities to get those wins back. I still think the Seahawks are exactly what I thought they were, which was a 9-win team. I still think that the Rams clearly, as long as Matthew Stafford stays healthy, have the shot to be in that bucket. I don't think the Cardinals are that. I think eventually they fade. They're just too young and don't have any depth. And I think they drop to probably that 6-win margin, like I said at the beginning of the year, maybe 7. I think their ceiling's 8. But yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of what you guys in particular thought we would do. I did not think there was a chance in the world we were going to lose to either the Rams or the Cardinals early, because I thought we'd be healthy and be able to beat down. So, what you guys have kind of pulled at or pushed towards is starting to happen. So I'm not.
And I still think the Seahawks can. I'm not doom or gloom of the season. I'm just saying what's happening is just frustrating. And even with the new regime, this stuff is still happening. And granted, it's 3 weeks, 6 weeks into this regime. It's probably going to take a year or 2 for this stuff to really figure it out. But still, like if you're a fan of a team, you should expect more of your team. You should be able to criticize your team when they're not playing well, and they're just giving you word salad every week saying, we're just not disciplined in our processes. And it's like, dude, like, you should be able to criticize your team when they're not playing well, and they're just giving you word salad every week saying, we're just not disciplined in our processes. And it's like, dude, like, you should be able to criticize your team when they're not playing well, and they're just giving you word salad every week saying, we're just not disciplined in our processes. every week. And it's like, okay, well, you've had 3 weeks to get disciplined and you're not. So your job should be up for grabs by the person behind you.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Well, I want to move down to a couple other games. Just mention the other one in division. The Packers, sorry, bounced back massively, took down the Cardinals 34-13. The way the 49ers should have beaten the Cardinals. But anyway, Jordan Love went and does what Jordan Love does, 4 touchdowns in that game. Pretty awesome beatdown. It was 24-0 at one point here. Not that there's a ton to mention, but it was a really good win for the Packers. Wanted to mention too, we had another great week for a rookie quarterback. The Patriots decided to turn over the reins to Drake May. Wasn't perfect. He threw, but he did throw for 243 yards. I guess 3 touchdowns. Did throw 2 picks. 3-2 with 243 is a whole lot more than what they were getting out of Mr. Glass, Jacoby Brissett. So got to give him that.
And actually throwing to his wide receivers, like getting the wide receivers the ball as opposed to the tight ends.
Pushing the ball vertically for once.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got it. We knew he had the big arm, the accuracy issues, getting used to the speed of the game in the NFL. We knew that would all be the stuff. I mean, those were all the knocks. Like, hey, he just hasn't played enough football at a high speed, and some of that showed itself. But credit to the Patriots. They prepped him pretty well to only have the 2 interceptions and throw for 3 touchdowns, keep his team or his offense at least moving. Can't say a lot for the defense against the Texans. C.J. Stroud just got to do whatever he wanted.
Joe Mixon was back.
Joe Mixon beat the living piss out of them.
Yeah.
No Nico Collins either, and they're still cooking like
41.
that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anybody that's a Tank Dell fantasy owner was not sad about Sunday, though. Finally got some action. But yeah, CJ had a heck of a day too. But Texans did what they should do. But just worth watching. Drake May and his development. We'll see what happens in the next few games. But a little bit of something to be excited about and pay attention to. I thought the team that had the best game of the weekend that was not the Detroit Lions was definitely the Baltimore Ravens. They went in and played a very hot Washington team who, we'd already mentioned Jaden Daniels, the success.
The no punts, that whole deal.
And it wasn't like, oh, he just took a massive step back or anything. Really, it was Baltimore's offense just not giving enough opportunities. They rolled out 28 first downs in this game. The passing game was on point all first half. Zay Flowers, my bad, catches 9 balls for 132 yards in the first half. Baltimore ends up with 484 yards to go with those 28 first downs. Wins this game pretty handily. Derrick Henry just running downhill in the second half. I was watching my fantasy.
Best closer in the league.
Up. Absolutely. Worst move that you could make if you're the Titans. Great move for Derrick Henry going to Baltimore. We were excited about this move when it got announced. We've been excited coming into the year.
We were saying Raven from the start when we knew that he was not going to be around. Yeah.
It was brilliant, and this is how you do it. If you're going to beat a young team like Washington, you got to beat them mentally in the first half and just get some of those explosive plays and get a lead. Rookie quarterbacks historically have an awful time trying to come back in games. It's just difficult as crud to do it in the NFL. You start forcing things. You start, thinking that you're seeing something open that's not there. Absolutely fantastic. The effort that they put out. I love this stat that Grant threw in here for us today. You want to get that last line in there, Grant? I'll get that back to you.
The 2024 Ravens are the first team since John Madden, RIP the GOAT. Since John Madden's 1971 Raiders with 150 plus rushing yards and at least 1 touchdown in each of their first 6 games of the season. So the Raven way is working. The way they want to win games is working. And also, I don't remember who he just joined all of the names, but Derrick Henry joined Emmitt Smith, Jim Brown, and there's probably a couple others I'm missing. As he notched his 20th 150 plus a touchdown game, 150 yards plus one touchdown game. He just notched his 20th of that, so he joined Elite Company there, making our Derrick Henry is the Hall of Famer take a couple weeks ago looking even better. We know what we're talking about, folks.
I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yep.
Not gonna lie. Burrow's inching closer to another step up the all-time rushing yards ladder here. He's like he's just a few hundred yards away. I think it's from 22nd. So I was just patting myself on the back, big smile on my face, watching those numbers go up for so many reasons. One, it validates that argument that I feel passionately about. Two, that dude's on two of my fantasy teams, and I was having a real good day. I wasn't sad about it at all. But then also, I really like that guy. I just like watching him play football, and
so
I
fun.
have no issue with his success.
So I mean, I mean, I'm sure we talked about it when we were talking about him, but like it's like that, like dying breed almost. Like, there's no other guy right now in the league that plays like him.
No,
and we may not have
plays
that
like him. There's guys that you can give the ball to.
You know,
CMC when he's playing,
but plays different.
Touches. Plays different. Yeah.
CMC's finesse and Derrick Henry's a wall.
Yeah, he just bowls you over and then takes off.
Yeah.
No, he was absolutely again phenomenal in the game, and you can't help but be excited for a guy who's had the suck around him for so many years.
And I mean they also they utilize him so perfectly because for most of that game it's going to be we're going to hit you with Lamar who's already a threat on his own and can push the ball downfield, and we're going to spread it around. And say Flowers is going off this week, you have to worry about containing Lamar because he's going to make a play on his feet too. But then after you've been chasing that guy around all game, oh yeah, I think it's time to put this game away. We're just going to turn around and hand it off to this monster truck in the backfield and tell you to tackle him after you've been running around all game. So it's like the thunder and lightning. It's just like it's perfect.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And also the last take on that would just be I really, 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 really super duper duper hope it's the Baltimore Ravens coming out of the AFC this year. Zero desire to see the Chiefs, regardless of what happens with my own personal team, playing another Super Bowl.
It has to at least be the AFC Championship game. Like it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just at the point. It's the Cavaliers Warriors thing where it's like, dude, all right, let's get some new blood in here.
Yeah, we've seen this game. Let's do something about it. But yeah, I definitely loved what happened. So I know we need to get to pick 'em, and Grant's running the show there. We have, as you already told me, we have a great week.
Feasting. With Thanksgiving is early. So first game I got here, I got the Texans at the Packers. Matt, who are you liking in this game? Jordan Love is obviously his leg is no longer a concern. CJ Stroud's dealing it. Joe Mixon dealing it. They obviously did not miss.
I don't like this. You were right. I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
This sucks. I just this is the first time I looked at the list. I didn't go and look at the schedule this week. I probably would have picked all these games too. Shoot, bro.
Okay. Like it's funny. I almost missed this one. I almost went like toilet bowl. There's it's like Jaguars Patriots. Like 12. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, oh, Texans Packers, duh.
Okay.
So this one almost didn't make it.
I already know this one for sure.
Okay, so I mean, Joe Mixon's playing. That's a huge deal for the Texans. I cannot overstate how big of a deal that is. But the Packers are at home. Jordan Love, I mean, with four touchdowns 2 times in a row on a bum leg. Piss. This better be a shootout. I'm just going to make up a score in my head and just decide who's going to win because I think this is a coin toss.
Again, because this is your thing that you do. You do scores.
34-31 Packers.
Packers?
Piss. I don't
Packers.
feel good about that as soon as I said it out loud.
I am also going Packers because through 6 games, They have 17 takeaways, which leads the league.
Yep,
and they've even played teams like the Vikings, who are good. They didn't win that game. Jordan Love played terrible in that game, but nonetheless, they can steal possessions. And in a game where it's going to be a shootout, I'm going to take a team that can get a possession to get that one score, get that extra field goal, get those extra 7 points, whatever it is. So I'm going Packers here. I don't think they're as talented of a team, but I'm at this point I'm not arguing with the results that I'm seeing through 6 weeks with this defense. Jameson?
I'm taking the Texans. I thought they were going to be one of the more exciting teams. Obviously, I think they're going to win a lot of games, and I think that this is part of winning a lot of games. And yes, while I'm still on the Packers train, I think the Packers are very exciting. It looks like Jordan Love is certainly healthier than he was when he came back, what I thought was a little too early. I also do know that both of those strong wins were against a Rams defense and a Cardinals defense that are both not very good at all. And I have a little bit more faith in what I see with CJ Stroud, and that Texans defense is cooking.
Oh, that's a good defense too.
I'm going to roll with the Texans.
Yep. Alrighty, and Mike is getting his in now. He also is taking the Packers, so Jameson is looking to potentially get a game on us. So the next game we got,
and I could use it too because it's we didn't talk, but it's a very close pickup matchup.
It is close. I guess I'll go that real quick. I'm 20-10. Matt and Jameson are tied at 19-11, and Mike is at 17-13. So, but Mike's taking the Packers as well. Next up though, next game we've got the Seahawks at the Falcons at the 10 a.m. window. So Mike, we're just going in snake order here. Mike has got the Falcons taking this one against the Seahawks. Jameson, who are you taking?
I'm also going to take the Falcons, and basically because of the things that you mentioned in your rant. But that's kind of how I was feeling. I still wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks win, because I feel like they're the kind of team to lose 2 in a row and win one that they maybe shouldn't on the road.
Well, it's three in a row.
Yeah, but I'll take him. I'll take the Falcons here.
Gotcha. Matt's camera has disappeared on us. I don't know if his audio is here, but we will keep going.
I'm good.
Okay.
Keep going.
You got a good shot of your kneecap there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm gonna go next.
Super fun.
I said all those things, but I'm going Seahawks because 4-0 is going losing 4 in a row is ridiculous. I do think this team is too talented to lose 4 in a row. And I think that they need to win this in the worst way. And so that's just where I'm going. Now, a lot of this is just wishful thinking. But I do like the wide receivers. I do like the wide receivers more. I do like their defensive line more. Byron Murphy is supposed to be back this week. So we're supposed to be back to full strength for the first time in like 3 weeks. And they've also had a mini bye, longest streak that you can have, gap between games without having a bye. And so I think it's gonna, and they travel well. They're one of the best teams that travels well from West Coast to the East Coast. Matt.
Yeah, I don't know how you can make the case that you made earlier and then expect us to like pick your team.
That's fine.
That sounds insane.
That's fine.
So we're just gonna pick the Falcons, and because I like to do this crap, 30-20.
30-20. All right. If they do lose, I'm probably going to. Yeah, it's gonna be rough. Anyway, moving on. Game 3. We have.
Oh, here we go, Matt.
The Chiefs at the 49ers. Chiefs making their way to, I almost said SoCal, but to the Bay Area.
The 49ers have lost 3 games and won 3 games. They've lost 3 games by a possession.
Yeah.
They have won 3 games by double digits. So we don't really know what we're going to get week to week, it feels like, with the Niners. I like that they had the 9-day turnaround, 10-day turnaround, whatever that is, before this. Chiefs are coming off a bye.
Mm-hmm.
Don't love that at all. But I do love that it's in San Francisco. This game, I believe, currently the Chiefs are a 1 or a 1.5 favorite. That makes perfect sense for the bye situation and all that, and the fact that Niners are not going to roll out CMC. They're looking to do that in November after the bye week. Oh, gosh dang it, guys. I'm going to take the Chiefs.
There we go.
And I don't pick against my team often, but I think this is a one possession oopsie. It just, Patrick Mahomes sucks. Freaking Hayes guts.
Yeah.
And see, you set yourself up for success here, because if they lose, then you got your pick 'em right. And that, helps with your streak that you've been on. But if you lose your pick 'em, who cares? Because the Niners just beat the Chiefs in prime time.
Yeah, if this is the one I get wrong,
it's not
I don't
in prime
freaking
time,
care.
unfortunately.
It's a 125er. Yeah.
Yeah, which unfortunately it should be.
It's going to be prime time on my television.
Yeah.
So.
And most people's. people's.
I just don't feel good about it. Mahomes just has that way. I will say the one thing that I would give the Niners in this, and I won't take up too much time with it, is just to say, I think the matchup that we have against Kelsey is better than what most people have. And systematically, we have changed our approach in terms of coverage this year with Sorensen taking over the defense. They're going to put Warner on him.
Yeah.
And they're going to take away the thing that you do best. Warner right now is the best linebacker in football.
He's insane. I love watching him play. And I obviously hate the 49ers.
And it's so much fun. It's just one of those guys you're like, holy crap, this is just cool to watch.
Very good at what he does.
Anyway, I do think that that's one thing that the Niners will have that nobody else does. Seemingly no one else does. And I like the way that we clog the run. I think that stylistically we play well against Kareem Hunt. So I think that'll benefit us too. But
keep forgetting that guy's on that Chiefs again. That's just so weird to see.
27-24.
27-24. Yeah, I'm going to Chiefs. It's not even because I don't like the Niners or whatever. It's literally until they prove you wrong. It's the Brady effect. It's like they're it until they're not.
Yeah.
So
get it.
So yeah, Jameson.
I'm also going to take the Chiefs. Again, to kind of piggyback on. Oh, we have a change in the
Mike is
chat.
He's on our document typing away.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But to kind of go back to Matt's point of losing some close games for the 49ers, I was just looking through the Chiefs so far this season. They're obviously undefeated. They've won 5 games. 4 of those games have been one possession games. They have never, the most they've won by is 7 points in a game. With the exception of the Saints, and the Saints are not that great. So that doesn't shock me that they doubled them up. But
you're talking about Derek Carr so good.
Yeah. So when it comes to this game, I do think it's going to be a good game, and it's going to stay close because Brock Purdy's been playing well, even if he doesn't have all of the guys all the time. And even if it seems like Brandon Ayuk is still kind of catching up. Again, Fred Warner, special football player. Those guys are going to be going at it all night. But when it is a one possession game, there's nobody I trust more right now in football than Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And they're coming off of a bye. So I don't care who is injured on that team. They are going to do what they have to do to not lose games. I think it's different. Like Chiefs, that we kind of know and love from the past are blowing teams out and they're scoring a lot of points. But right now, all they're doing is sustaining and simply not losing games. And Patrick Mahomes is very good at not losing games.
Yeah. If Patrick Mahomes is in this game, because you said it doesn't matter who, and I know what you meant. Yeah. But if he's playing, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, he's proven it doesn't matter who else is really there.
No, he's just going to make a great decision when it matters.
Yep. Yeah. And then so last up on this pick, we've got Mike, and Mike also is picking the Chiefs. Somebody wrote here in his document is can't pick against the Chiefs after a bye. Same as what you have all said.
He had written down 49ers, and then
he did write 49ers.
That nugget, and he was like, "Oh no,
yeah,
I get it."
Yeah. So, all right. So next game we've got a little AFC NFC clash. We have the Ravens at the Buccaneers. Both teams playing some good football. Both quarterbacks playing well. Both teams playing complimentary football. Both sides of the ball are going well. But I'm gonna go with Mike here. Mike has the Ravens winning. This game taking the W. Jameson, how about you?
I'm taking the Ravens here. As good as the Buccaneers have been, I think the Ravens are just in a different class. And so I'm gonna keep rolling with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going Ravens well, different class. Also, like if the Super Bowl was tomorrow, I'm taking the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. Right now, they're the most complete and ready team. Like, granted, that can change in 12 weeks or whatever. But like they just are so complete, and the defense is coming together, and it's the team again that we thought they were going to be. Um, and again, you look at stuff like quarterback. Like, I love Baker Mayfield, great story, but Lamar Jackson at this point probably going to win MVP again. Again, if season was to end right now.
I think CJ Stroud is the MVP right now, personally, but I don't hate it.
I take that back. I think Derrick Henry's MVP right now. I think Derrick Henry would be.
I think he probably could be, but I don't think he would actually win the award because I just don't think that's how it works anymore.
Quarterback award.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm saying what it should be, not what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when people were like, "Oh, LeBron's not going to win MVP." I'm like, "Okay, well, what is the most valuable player? Or are you just going to like give it to somebody else?"
That's why they gave it to Barkley, instead of when Jordan was around.
Hey, I mean, that was a special year for Barkley. I'm not hating.
No,
but
that's fair.
There was nobody more valuable than Michael Jordan. There was nobody more valuable than LeBron James, and guys like Derrick Henry obviously have taken teams that already have Super Bowl aspirations to a new level, and that's like a whole different type of value.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Think this swing different? Staying the same?
So the dilemma is genuinely just that while Baker Mayfield throws for yards, the Bucs put up points. The Ravens have the top three right now statistically, but I would say top to bottom, they have the best secondary in the league. Don't love the matchup for them in that sense. Also, the Derrick Henry experience is a real thing, and they don't have an answer for that right now. They are giving up chunks of yards. They were one of those teams that plays the two deep safety and lets you have yards and not points. That's what the Bucs are trying to do. I don't think that benefits them here because Derrick Henry will just run you over and continue to run you over. So I'm going to take the Ravens just because of the matchup here. Don't love that again for the Bucs. It just doesn't make a lot of sense right now. But I do it for every game. I'm going to be 27-21.
Okay. All of these games should be primetime. I'm just saying.
They're all fantastic.
They're all great games.
And whatever that garbage was we're watching on Monday, that sucks.
I think one of these games is Monday night. If someone else,
it's the second game. Whatever
the second
one
is. By the way, two Monday night games is ridiculous. Just have one.
We've talked about it before. It's stupid.
Yeah, Jameson's opinion on that is exactly what we're sticking to. You won't watch previous episodes, but it's stupid.
Yeah,
does not benefit the fan or the player.
Yeah. All right. So our last game. This is game of the week. My opinion. This is the one I think. I
get it.
Like. You've got the 5-0 Vikings coming out of a bye. You've got the Lions 4-2. Again, shredded the Cowboys. Were dominant. I mean, scored a lot of points against the Seahawks before their bye. Matt, Lions at the Vikings. Who are you taking, my friend?
Who's the real king in the North?
Well, the king of the North, deservedly so, gets his name chanted everywhere he goes because he is the king of the North.
Let's go, baby.
The king of the North has the best roster. Those loyal soldiers that are just going to do whatever it takes, even if they only get 4 catches in an entire game when they're clearly the best receiver on their team. One of them just happened to be a garbage time touchdown when he shouldn't even be playing anymore. They're just going to keep plugging away. I was talking about the sun god for anybody who can catch that. Amon-Ra had 3 catches for 37 yards when his team was up by 40 points in that game. I just think that the Lions are it right now. I understand losing Hutch is a huge deal. Don't get me wrong. It is. But the Vikings already give up pressure, and I don't think that that's going to be a weak point of the Lions even without Hutch. I think they're going to go get, Darnold in this game, and they're going to cause some havoc. Remember, the Vikings turned over the ball twice against the Niners, in that we mentioned the Niners' other 2 losses today. That was a sloppy loss for the Niners, just stupid mistakes that they made in their game. Vikings are gettable. I think that they have played some good ball or decent ball against some good teams, namely the Niners, but they've also just kind of had a good schedule in part as well. I think the Lions just beat the piss out of people sometimes. That's just what they do, and they are on the up, man. If it's not the Niners, everybody knows I'm rooting for these Lions, so I'm about it this week. I think it's a bad matchup. I don't care about the bye thing. That doesn't matter. When you're the Vikings, it just doesn't. That's not a huge advantage. The Lions are riding high, and that momentum is everything. This smells like what the Niners did to the Cowboys in Week 5 last year, and then they just came out and torched teams after that. Beat up on the Cowboys at home, and then beat the crap out of everybody after that. So, Lions all the way. Let's go.
Lions, alrighty.
34-24.
Does he preserve his lead or try to
extend it? That's the question.
Yes.
See, because
don't do a dumb thing.
You would have the Seahawks pick, and you would potentially have this pick.
I'm going to tell you to not be Grant right now.
But here's
just
the thing.
Don't.
There's only one of me, and I'm built different. Vikings all the way. Vikings, cool. Baby. They're at home. They're off a bye. It's okay because I'm already gonna keep my lead from the Seahawks. This is just a little icing on top, a little salt action on the steak. It's already been cut. I'm ready for it. Vikings all the way. Their defense is legit. Brian Flores is a dude. Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Lions all the way. I'm doing it.
me and
I ran out of things to say.
To thank you for first place. Thanks.
Yeah. Basically, for Matt and I, it comes
Texans. Forget that.
Yeah. Basically, it comes down to Packers Texans for us, because
right.
it is going to be the Lions. And unironically, Grant almost kind of made my point for me, because I was going to say, when I look at the Vikings, yes, obviously they're undefeated for a reason, but I still feel like I am a little weary of teams where I can't really explain why they are undefeated. Like, to me, there's nothing that I can point to.
Their defense is insane. Their defense is insane. Sam Darnold's playing coaching. Well. Brian Flores is
but if you're going to tell me that the reasons that the Vikings are good, and one of the names you list after Justin Jefferson is Sam Darnold, I'm not entirely convinced that is a sustainable way of winning football games. They are excellently coached. Their defense is fantastic, but also the Lions are going to boat race that defense. The defense is not going to get ran over entirely, but this is a different monster. And so I'm picking the Lions, and I think it's one of those games that kind of exposes the Vikings for like, hey, you're up there, but you're not up there.
I don't know this chant really, but Skull.
31-17. 31-17.
Wow.
I just don't think they have the ability to keep up with the Lions.
Nope.
What's great is that when the Vikings win, I'll be up even more, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to feel
I want you to
good.
listen to the tone that you're using right now. I want you to hear how your voice sounds.
Bro,
this is what you do when you know you're wrong, but you just can't help yourself. This is exactly how you sound.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking
about.
Bro,
you it's when you say, I don't know what you're talking about. That's literally what it is.
Nope. Skull, baby. I am Purple Rain all the way. Purple Rain all day. Baby.
You're using phrases that you've never used before. You don't even know these team chants. You're just making crap up to justify your stupidity.
And Sam, we trust.
The toilet just starts swirling, and you just take a dump on your lead here.
I'm winning these games at a 2-1 clip. Okay, this is what it's for, to have some fun now with my lead.
You have a 1-game lead.
No, I'm talking about being positive. Well, I guess that's not that hard to do, but we're all positive. But
you are legitimately the guy that gets his paycheck and is just like, shiny crap. I see it. I can afford that. I can totally afford that.
And then eating ramen.
You forget that you have bills to pay, bro. Use your head. Use your head. You saw what we saw. You saw what we saw. The freaking Lions erased the Dallas Cowboys the other day, and that momentum is real.
Cowboys aren't good. That
Hey,
defense is
I'm
poo.
not saying that. I'm not justifying it. I said they weren't good when the Niners were going to beat them last year, and you picked the Cowboys to beat my Niners last year. So, yeah, you did.
Well, I was probably trying to.
It was because we started slow. Remember, we started slow.
I almost said it's what I'm doing right now, but it's not. That's different. That's different. That's all different, baby.
Grant really believes what he's saying right now. It's different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. We're convinced in everything.
Skull.
Mm-hmm. Sure, he really believes the Seahawks are going to beat the Falcons
soon. Sam Darnold legacy game.
He isn't going to be checking his phone constantly Sunday morning. Just ready to pee himself looking at that score. He isn't going to turn his phone off at any point when his team's down by 14. That's not going to happen.
Skull.
One thing I do want to note, though, I don't think we got the chance to mention it since we're on the topic of the King of the North here. This is the first time ever, but mostly since like these divisions were restructured, that after 6 weeks, all 4 teams have 4 wins.
There you go.
Because the Lions have been bad for a long time. Bears have been bad for a long time. Yep. There's always one of those guys, a couple of those guys.
Yeah, and the Bears will probably end up being the weakest of those, only because I think the Vikings, even though I think they aren't like 100% legit, have now built themselves a lead that is enough to like sustain some bumps and bruises along the way, whereas the Bears are still kind of like,
the Vikings only need to win 5 more games out of their next 12 to be at 10 wins.
Yeah, you kind of you're a squirrel who got like somebody's whole deck you got inside of, and you stashed away all of the acorns, and now it's like it doesn't really matter what happens. Like we got a nice little comfortable lead here. So, but this could be the beginning of the end. We'll see.
Yeah. Before we close out the show, who are the Jets playing this week?
I believe the Steelers. Yes, the Steelers. That's Sunday night.
The Steelers. That's Sunday night game. Russ is starting for that game. For the Steelers, already been announced that is happening. That guy. I love how you point at it.
Not that guy. It's a different guy now.
Oh, that's maybe fair. That'd be fair.
It's a different version of that guy.
That's the Wizards. The Wizards, Michael Jordan.
The Steelers version, Broncos Steelers version. Yeah.
So the Steelers a little banged up in some areas, for sure, going into that game. By the way, secondary has been a little suspect in some spots. Devonta Adams gonna play for the Jets. Already hamstring, all of a sudden, totally fine. It's like it was never hurt or
Red Eye to New York fixes hamstring.
Yeah, you saw a new doctor today, cleared him immediately. But he's gonna play in that game. Sounds like Garrett Wilson's fine. Supposed to play this week. Running backs are healthy. Hall and the rookie, I'm gonna forget his name. Braylon Allen. Yep.
Braylon Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Thank you. Who is literally built different, by the way. Holy crap. That dude's gonna be good in the NFL. But he's gonna have all his weapons, and for the first time this year, the double's coming off Wilson. Rodgers is currently ranked 37th as a passer against man coverage. And that is largely due to the way that his team has been able to be schemed. Some stuff's going to change. If we were picking one more game, I would want this one. This is the game I would definitely want. Don't have a problem with the 5 we picked. Makes sense. You might, for me personally, might have taken out the Falcons Seahawks and put that one in there. Just because I think where they're at level-wise is even more even than the Falcons and the Seahawks.
Where's that game?
At Pittsburgh.
It's at Pittsburgh. But I just want to throw it out there. Does this not feel like the game, the relaxed game? Does it not feel like that game? We've watched this guy for, basically almost 2 decades. Does this not feel like an Aaron Rodgers relax? Just go take it to him. He finally gets what he wants because he's Aaron Rodgers, and he wins his game.
What do you mean? He's had what he's wanted all this time. He's always gotten everything he's wanted.
Well, yes and no. I mean, he clearly wanted another receiver. Like, that was pretty obvious. But I'm just saying, does not feel like a game he wins. I like this in the 23-17 scenario. I don't like switching the quarterback this week. I don't understand why we're doing it.
Yeah, I
Justin Fields has 10 touchdowns to 1 pick.
Bingo. And
I'm a fan of Russ. I wanted to succeed.
Three rushing, 4, 3 or 4.
I don't know. No, he has 10 total. That's I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what the split is. I don't know what the split is.
Yeah, but to me, it's still also an offense that is clearly like not designed to score points in the NFL at like an effective clip. And normally I would be no hesitation. Like, yeah, this makes sense for the Jets, all things considered, but in Pittsburgh with how that defense is playing, and yes, it's Aaron Rodgers, but it's still not the Aaron Rodgers that I grew up watching. So I'm like still not 100% sure. Like he hasn't thrown for over 300 yards. Not that's what he needs to do, but it's been how many years now at this point? How many games now? The sub 300 streak is very impressive.
It's 2 years, but bro had Achilles.
Before that, like there was a whole season on the Packers that I think also was included where he didn't throw for 300, and that's just like that's not the gunslinger guy that we know, and so that would be a tough one. I still wouldn't be surprised if the Jets lost it personally, and I think the funniest bet to make would be like, what if Allen Lazard still gets more targets than Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams? Because he loves Allen Lazard. That would be the funniest outcome as he goes there and now it's still Allen Lazard getting like 9 targets in a game.
120 yards in a touchdown.
Yeah.
Or Breece Hall leads in targets.
Yeah.
Rushes for 200.
You're not wrong. Like that is something that would happen with Aaron Rodgers, and he would just say, "Hey, it's going to take some time for me and Tay to get our rhythm back together and all that crap."
But it will raise the floor. It will raise the floor in the man defense situation.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That Aaron Rodgers, I think it was pretty well documented. Like when he was with LaFleur in Green Bay, one of the things that he didn't like is he wanted to be able to have control of the offense. He wanted to drop back, make the reads, and make the throws. He didn't want to have schemes and motions and all these different formations. He just wanted to drop back and play football. And now when you have a guy who's a man beater, even at his age, I think he's like nearly 32 at this point. And Devontae, it's like, okay,
he's 31 now for sure.
Now that raises the floor. Like you can have a guy go out and get you a bucket if you want to call it that. And so maybe it raises the floor. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it raises the floor. And like I said, this to me, like 23-17, you got to remember, I mean, this Jets defense is legit too. It's not like they're bad. And they're deep, and I mean, in my mind, giving up 23 points to second, third, fourth-ish quarterback in the league, there in Buffalo this last week was not bad at all. And there was a few things that had to happen even for that to get there, And so that Jets defense is humming. And I think they're going to keep them in games. I do agree. As long as somebody named Watt is on the other sideline, you got problems for sure.
I was going to say, does he fold Aaron Rodgers in half at some point in this game?
That could totally happen too. But I just think this just feels like something stupid that he gets to do because he's Aaron Rodgers. And, and it's just, he is different. I mean, that's a Hall of Famer. They can be Hall of Famer on any given Sunday. And even as much as I think that he's clearly on the end of his path in the NFL, I think this is just one you get. That's my hunch. I like where it's at, and I think they're going to see a lot of different looks this week. And I love the changeup. Even though the Jets are a crap organization, I do love the changeup. I think it is a good move overall. Clearly, especially for what they gave up, just in a football sense. And I think they could do this. Just where my head's at. I'm thinking about it all day.
It's kind of a must win. You have to win it at this point. Like
they need it.
You can't lose to the Steelers if you want to say that you are. And again, not that the Steelers are a tragic team. Their defense is fantastic. Yep. They're going to be at home hosting the Jets, but you have to win this game if you're going to be playing against Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, probably Russ this week at quarterback. You have to be able to outscore that. If you can't, again, I know that defense is fantastic, but you're going to have problems. Yeah. And that's been part of their problem here, and they better hope they don't have to settle for field goals because we've seen how that has been trending.
Yeah, not good. Not good. We're missing extra points, not field goals. Anyway, there's so much to look forward to this week. So many good games. No matter what the time slot, we got good Monday Night Football. We got great, I think, Sunday Night Football, as we were just discussing. We have a banger of a matchup at 125 between the Niners and the Chiefs. And plenty of stuff in literally every time slot. So looking forward to an incredible week of football. The thing that I think sustains us all is the hope at this point in the season that our teams will do better, will continue to do better, and that nothing has truly been decided yet, except for the fact that I'm again going to win the A-League because I am now 6-0 and beating the living piss out of everybody, and it's not even close. But just need to throw that out there. I will reiterate my challenge to everybody that does watch this, our good friends that are a part of the ABC leagues. Come get me. There's 29 of you. Come after me. Somebody beat me at fantasy football. I got one loss in 2 years. Bring it on.
I'm coming 4-2.
Bring it. Mike is 0-6, and he is going to get kicked out of the A-League. He drafted CMC.
Well, yeah.
So there's that. I'm not doing well in the league I drafted CMC in either. I get it.
Nope, I'm not either.
It's a death sentence, but I will say that's been a lot of fun, and I hope that your hope is still there regardless of who your team is, unless it's the Cowboys. Then your hope can die in the seventh ring of hell. I don't really care. But I hope your hope is there, and you're loving what you're getting to see. And I hope that unless you're the Seahawks or the Rams or the Cardinals, that you enjoy the rest of your season, and we'll see you in the playoffs. Absolutely. Have a great week 7, and we'll be back here for some more of it next week. Peace.